The ringing cut through sleep like a blade, not the gentle buzz of an alarm, but the angry, insistent shriek that means someone needs you right now. My hand shot out in the darkness, knocking over the water glass on my nightstand. The crash barely registered as I grabbed my phone, my heart already racing before I was fully awake. 1:03 a.m. glowed on the screen. Below it, Mom. Hello? My voice came out rough, confused. In the background, my husband stirred but didn't wake. My mother's voice hit like a fist. Why haven't you sent the $20,000? The words made no sense. They were English, but they landed wrong, like someone had scrambled the order. My brain tried to catch up to my thundering pulse. What? Mom, what are you? Your brother's in the ER. Her voice cracked high and desperate, the sound she made when I was 16 and forgot to call from a party. He needs emergency surgery. They won't do it without payment. You have to wire the money now. I sat up fast enough to make the room spin. The sheets twisted around my legs as I fumbled for the lamp. Which hospital? What happened to Jake? Silence. Just half a second too long. Then my father's voice, sharp and commanding. Stop asking questions and do what you're told. If you don't send it right now, he'll suffer all night. The lamp clicked on. I squinted against the sudden brightness, my mind racing. Dad, I need to know which... My mother's sob cut me off. Why are you doing this? He's your brother. Just send the money. Something cold slid down my spine despite the warmth of the blankets. That line. I'd heard variations of it my entire life. He's family. She needs help. We're blood. The words that had opened my wallet, drained my savings, covered rent, paid for cars, cleared credit cards, fixed mistakes that were never mine. My name is Nina. I'm 38 and I'm a project manager. This is the story of how I finally learned that family emergency doesn't always mean emergency. The phone felt heavy against my ear. Through it, I could hear my mother's breathing, quick and shallow like she'd been running. My father's voice rumbled in the background, saying something I couldn't quite catch. Mom, I said, keeping my voice level even as my hands started shaking. Tell me the name of the hospital. You don't trust us? Her voice went shrill. Your own parents? My chest tightened. Because that was the trap, wasn't it? The one I'd walked into 1,000 times before. Trust was supposed to be automatic. Questions were supposed to be cruel, and I was supposed to be the good daughter who fixed things without making anyone uncomfortable. Jake was 42 years old. Jake, who'd crashed 3 cars, maxed out 4 credit cards, walked away from 6 jobs with stories about toxic bosses and unfair treatment. Jake, who my parents called troubled and misunderstood, while I paid his cell phone bill, his car insurance, his rent when he got behind. And then there was Sophie, my little sister, the baby. Sophie got patience and second chances wrapped in gift cards. Sophie got understanding when she made mistakes. I got midnight phone calls and guilt trips. Just tell me which hospital, I said again. My father's voice returned, harder this time. If you cared about your brother, you wouldn't need to ask. Good daughters don't interrogate their parents. The words should have worked. They'd always worked before. But standing there in my bedroom at 1:03 in the morning, watching my husband's peaceful face, something snapped into place. Call your favorite daughter, I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. I'm going back to sleep. Don't you dare. I hung up. The phone stayed in my hand, buzzing almost immediately with a callback. I pressed decline. It rang again. I declined again. Then I did something I'd never done before. I turned it face down on the nightstand and lay back against the pillows. My heart hammered. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. But I didn't pick up the phone again. Maybe that sounds heartless. Maybe it was. But it was also exhausted. It was 38 years of being the responsible one, the one who answered, the one who fixed, the one who never got to say no without being called selfish. I stared at the ceiling for a long time, waiting for guilt to drag me back to the phone. It didn't come. Instead, I felt something I hadn't expected. Relief. When I finally fell asleep, I didn't dream. Morning came with weak winter sunlight and the smell of coffee brewing on the automatic timer. My husband was already in the shower. The house was quiet except for the radiator clicking and the distant sound of traffic. Then someone hammered on the front door. Not knocked, hammered. The kind of pounding that says you're already in trouble. I grabbed my robe and stumbled down the stairs, my stomach dropping with each step. Through the front door's window, I could see 2 figures in dark uniforms. Police. I yanked the door open, my heart suddenly racing again. 2 officers stood on my porch. One had a notepad, the other watched my hands with the careful attention of someone trained to spot trouble. "Ma'am," the taller one said, "are you Nina Harrison, the one who received a call last night about wiring $20,000? My mouth went dry. Yes. My parents called about my brother." The officer made a quick note. "Did you wire any money?" "No." He nodded once, like that mattered more than he was allowed to say. "We need to talk to you about that call. Can we come inside?" My living room suddenly felt too small. The officers introduced themselves as Officer Ramirez and Officer Hensley. They didn't look dramatic. No raised voices, no visible weapons. That made it worse somehow, because whatever this was, it was real enough to bring the police to my door before 9 a.m. "First thing," Ramirez said gently, "nobody's saying your parents are criminals, but we need to ask some questions about that call." I sat on the edge of my couch, clutching my coffee mug like it might steady my hands. "My mom said my brother was in the ER, that he needed emergency surgery. My dad told me to stop asking questions and wire $20,000. "And you refused," Hensley said. More statement than question. Heat crept up my neck. "I told them to call my sister instead." Ramirez nodded like he'd heard worse family dynamics before breakfast. "Did they give you wiring instructions?" "No, they wanted me to do it immediately, but they didn't give specifics." "May we see your call log?" My hands trembled as I unlocked my phone and handed it over. I hated that I felt guilty, like I'd done something wrong just by being questioned. Ramirez scrolled carefully. "Here, incoming call at 1:03 a.m. He tilted the screen toward me. "But Ms. Harrison, this isn't your mother's actual number." The room tilted slightly. "What?" "It's called spoofing. The call displayed as your mom's contact, but the number underneath is different." He tapped the screen again. "And you received a text at 1:07 a.m. My blood went cold. I didn't see any text. "Most people don't when they're upset." He read it aloud, his voice flat. "Wire it to this account. Don't waste time. He's in pain." Then a routing number, account number, and a name. I couldn't breathe. "What name?" "We'll get to that," Ramirez said. "First, you need to know that your bank flagged an attempted wire setup this morning. Someone tried to create a transfer template using your personal information." "How would they get that?" Hensley leaned forward. "Do your parents have access to your banking information, your social security number, your date of birth?" Memories crashed over me. My mother asking for my SSN years ago for insurance paperwork. My father borrowing my laptop. Jake using my phone, my computer, my trust, over and over and over. "They shouldn't," I whispered. "But they might." Ramirez's voice softened. "We've had 3 other reports this week using the exact same script. Middle-of-the-night panic calls, wire money or your loved one suffers. It targets people who respond out of fear." He paused. "Your bank contacted us immediately when they saw the attempted wire set up early this morning. Given the spoofed number and the middle-of-the-night call pattern matching known fraud cases, they flagged it as potential family-targeted fraud and requested police follow-up. So I was just another mark." "Not exactly," Hensley said quietly, "because this one used your brother's name. That means whoever did this knows your family." After taking my initial statement at home, they asked me to come to the station for a more formal interview with the fraud unit. The station smelled like stale coffee and copier toner. Detective Green from the fraud unit sat across from me in a small interview room, her expression calm and professional. "Here's what we're going to do," she said. "We don't call anyone yet, but we can verify the hospital claim right now." She slid my phone back to me. "Search for your brother's usual hospital. Use their main number, not anything from your contacts." My fingers felt numb as I dialed County General's published number. A receptionist answered, and I forced my voice to stay steady. "Hi, I'm trying to locate a patient. Jake Harrison." The line went quiet while she searched. Then she said, "I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't have anyone by that name in our ER." Are you sure? Yes, if you believe someone is impersonating the hospital, please contact law enforcement. I set the phone down carefully. He's not there. No, Detective Green said. He's not. Relief and rage hit me simultaneously. Relief that Jake wasn't dying. Rage that someone had weaponized the idea of his death against me. Now the money, Green continued, pointing to the printed text on the table. This account information, that's not random. Someone either knows you or knows your family. I stared at the paper, at the name printed in neat letters. Sophie Harrison. My little sister, my parents' baby. The one who'd never faced consequences because someone always paid first. The one who got understanding while I got demands. The one who'd showed up with new purses and new phones right after late-night crises. We're going to run a controlled response, Detective Green said. You'll reply to the text as if you're cooperating. Ask for details. Scammers hate details. My hand steadied as I typed what she dictated. I'm at the bank. They need the full name on the account. What is it? We waited. 30 seconds. A minute. Then the reply came. Sophie Harrison. Now send it. I stared at the words until they blurred. Detective Green made a note, her expression satisfied. Now we have something. After the text exchange, Detective Green coordinated with patrol officers for an immediate welfare check. We're going to your parents' house right now, she said, standing and gathering her files. You can follow us there if you're ready. It might help to have you present when we ask questions. The drive to my parents' house took 12 minutes. I'd made that drive 1,000 times. Sunday dinners, holiday obligations, emergency errands. But this time, I wasn't there to fix anything. 2 cruisers pulled up behind us. Ramirez asked me to wait in the car. From the passenger seat, I watched the officers walk up the familiar sidewalk and knock. My mother opened the door fast, like she'd been waiting. And there was Jake, alive, not bandaged, not pale, not suffering, standing in a t-shirt, holding a coffee mug like it was any other Wednesday morning. Even from the car, I could see my mother's face change when she saw the uniforms, the attempted smile that died before it formed. The officers spoke to her briefly. Then Sophie moved into view from the hallway, mascara smudged, looking like a child caught stealing. My stomach turned over. Ramirez returned to the car. Your brother isn't at any hospital. I know, I said. Your parents claim they don't know anything about the call. A small, strangled sound escaped my throat. Of course they do. Detective Green appeared at my window. We need you inside. We're asking questions with you present. My pulse hammered as I climbed out of the car and walked toward the porch. Through the open door, I could hear my mother's voice, high and trembling, already preparing whatever story would make this my fault. Inside, my parents' living room felt smaller than I remembered, or maybe I just took up more space now. Detective Green stood near the fireplace, her presence making everything official. Ramirez had his notebook out. My parents sat on the couch like defendants. Jake leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Sophie perched on the arm of a chair, crying quietly. Because no money was actually transferred, Detective Green said, her voice measured, the county is offering a diversion agreement. That means a formal police report, the account frozen, restitution fees for investigation costs, mandatory fraud education, and family counseling. Break any term, and this moves to prosecution. My mother's face crumpled. Counseling? For our family? Especially for your family, Green said flatly. My father cleared his throat. We didn't mean for... No, I cut him off. My voice came out steadier than I felt. You meant to scare me into paying. That's exactly what you meant. The room went silent. Sophie's mascara-streaked face turned toward me. Nina, I'm sorry. I didn't think it would go this far. It went exactly as far as it needed to. I looked at her directly. You used our brother's emergency. You put his name on a fake crisis. You sent account details with your name on them. That's not panic. That's planning. Her face crumpled further, and for a second I saw what my parents had created, a grown woman who'd never been forced to face real consequences. My mother tried next, her voice wet with tears. Honey, we were desperate. Desperate people ask for help, I said. Manipulative people manufacture fear. My father's shoulders sagged. We thought you'd do it. You always do. I used to, I agreed. That's why you tried. Detective Green handed me a report number and a checklist. Officer Ramirez gave me back my phone. If they contact you again asking for money, he said quietly, don't negotiate. Call us. When the officers left, the silence felt thick enough to choke on. I turned to face my family, all of them. I'm cutting off all financial support. No more midnight calls, no more just this once. If you need help, it'll be the kind you can't spend. Information, appointments, resources. My mother opened her mouth, but no sound came out. And if you want a relationship with me, I continued, we start with honesty. We meet with a counselor. You stop cleaning up Jake's messes and calling it love. And Sophie, if you want forgiveness, you earn trust back, one small truth at a time. It wasn't a movie reconciliation. It was an adult one, the kind built with boundaries instead of promises. On the drive home, I followed Detective Green's checklist. Bank alerts on, passwords changed, fraud alert placed. Then I added one more thing, a family code word for real emergencies, something only we would know, something that couldn't be faked by spoofed numbers and manufactured panic. That was 8 months ago. The diversion agreement went through. My parents completed the fraud education program, though they attended separately and made it clear through tight-lipped silence that they blamed me for the embarrassment. Sophie paid the restitution fees over 3 months and finished her mandated classes. She texted me once afterward. I'm sorry, I know that doesn't fix it. I replied. No, but it's a start. We tried family counseling 3 times. My mother stopped showing up after the second session, saying the counselor was taking sides. My father lasted 1 more session before claiming it was pointless. The counselor told me privately that some families choose comfort over change, and I couldn't force them to want something different. Jake found his own apartment after I made it clear I wouldn't co-sign, co-pay, or cover anything. He works part-time at a warehouse now. We're not close, but he texted me on my birthday. Thanks for not giving up on yourself. That felt like progress. Sophie and I text every few weeks now, short, careful messages about weather and work. Nothing deep, nothing that asks for money or favors. We met for coffee once. It was awkward and brief, but we both showed up. That counts for something. My parents send birthday cards now, the kind you buy at the grocery store with printed messages and no personal note. We're not reconciled. We might never be. But I'm not financing their choices anymore, and they're not calling me at midnight. That's its own kind of peace. My husband was my anchor through all of it. When I finally told him the full story that first morning, he just held me and said, I've been waiting for you to see it. He'd suspected for years that the constant emergencies were engineered crises, but he never pushed me to see it before I was ready. He sat with me through every police interview, every anxious night, every moment I questioned whether I was doing the right thing. You protected yourself, he kept saying. That's not selfish, that's survival. The night after everything happened, my phone stayed silent. My house stayed quiet. And for the first time in a long time, quiet didn't feel like guilt. It felt like safety. Here's what I learned, and what I hope you never have to learn the hard way. Fear is a tool. Scammers use it. So do families that have learned they can control you with guilt. If you ever get a panic call, especially in the middle of the night, hang up. Call back using a number you verify independently. Ask for the hospital name, the room number, the doctor. Real emergencies can answer questions. Fake ones demand speed. And if you're the responsible one, the one everyone calls when the world is burning, you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to hang up. You're allowed to choose safety over guilt. Boundaries aren't cruelty. They're protection. If this story hit home, if you've ever been the one who always answers, let me know in the comments. And if you need to hear this, you're not selfish for protecting yourself. You're not heartless for asking questions. You're not a bad daughter, son, or sibling for demanding honesty. You're just done being afraid. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles. Zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.